Have you or maybe your family been pressuring you to retire or downsize in Santa Cruz? Do you currently live in Santa Cruz County already in a large home or a large property that's too much to maintain or manage? Or maybe you live out of the area. Maybe you live in Southern California or in the Fresno area and your family lives in Santa Cruz and they've been wanting you to move here and now you're ready to retire and downsize, but you don't think you can afford it. Well, if this is you, pay attention, watch this video. I have a few hacks that I'm going to get into towards the end of the video, but I'm also going to talk about how you can downsize in Santa Cruz on a budget. I'm Shamika Fox, your Santa Cruz real estate expert, and if you are looking to buy and or sell in the Santa Cruz area, I would love to be the one that helps you. And if you are thinking about buying or selling in the area that you live, which is out of Santa Cruz County, please feel free to reach out to me so that I can refer you to another exceptional realtor who will take very good care of you. Okay, let's dive into it. It is expensive to live in Santa Cruz. We know that. I talk about it all the time on pros and cons. It is one of the hardest counties to live in and maintain the lifestyle in which you want or you are accustomed to because the cost of living is so high here. But there are actually opportunities, especially for seniors in our community, that will allow you to downsize or right size in a comfortable manner. So let's talk about the most affordable areas in Santa Cruz County. Let's talk about opportunities for seniors, including single-family residential, including condos, townhomes, and including mobile home opportunities. Let's talk about the financial aspect of downsizing, and then we're going to talk about smart downsizing tips with regards to your personal property. And lastly, and watch until the end of this video, because I'm going to give you 3 hacks that will help you save thousands of dollars potentially. Now, I am not a financial advisor and I'm not a CPA, so please make sure that you run all of this by your financial advisor and or CPA, but these are just things that you should be aware of if you are considering downsizing, and if you are considering downsizing right here in Santa Cruz, pay attention. All right, let's dive into it. So the top 4 most affordable neighborhoods in Santa Cruz County, should you want to right size or downsize into Santa Cruz and live or continue to live in a single family residence, are Watsonville, Scotts Valley, Boulder Creek, and Felton. Now let's first talk about Watsonville. Watsonville is on the south end of the county. It gives you great access to Highway 1 if you want to come into Santa Cruz. It also gives you great access to Monterey County, which is the next county over, and the south end of Watsonville borders Monterey County. But also Watsonville has what is known as the Adult Village, and these are single family residences that you can purchase. They are for sale. There's 2 HOAs. I'm going to dive into it a little bit later in the video, but just wanted to give you the awareness of the possibility of downsizing and moving to the Watsonville area, because it's one of the most affordable areas in the county. The other most affordable area in the county is Scotts Valley. Now this area is definitely growing. I just did a pros and cons video on living in Scotts Valley. Take a look at that for more information on Scotts Valley. It is a growing area of Santa Cruz, but it tends to be a bit more affordable because you are removed from the beach. And the closer that you get to the beach, the more expensive properties become. But Scotts Valley is the second option for an affordable neighborhood in Santa Cruz. And then there's Felton and Boulder Creek, which are named on here. My thought, and I would throw in actually Ben Lomond as well. So the San Lorenzo Valley is one of the 4 most affordable neighborhoods in Santa Cruz. My thoughts though on that is if you are getting ready to retire and downsize, the San Lorenzo Valley might not be the right spot for you unless you found the exact perfect property that was low maintenance, that had a single level home, that had access to medical facilities, etc. But removing yourself from town and putting yourself in the San Lorenzo Valley might be a bit compromising for that stage in your life. And generally speaking, most of those properties have a lot of redwood trees. Some of them are built on hillsides. Some of them require stair access just to get to the front door. So you just have to be very selective and property specific if you are wanting to downsize and live in the San Lorenzo Valley. Just something to consider. The cool thing about Santa Cruz though is besides like the phenomenal climate and the beautiful geographic location, even though we are an expensive area to live, we have diverse housing. We have single family homes. We have condos and townhomes. We have mobile home or manufactured home parks, and some of them are leased land, some of them are co-ops, and some of them are actually resident owned. And many of these actually also offer senior living opportunities. So even though we are an expensive area, we do have a diversity with regards to housing opportunities and housing options, especially in that senior age bracket. And did you know that the only thing you can technically discriminate against when creating an HOA and drawing up CC&Rs, covenants, conditions, and restrictions, is age? That is one thing I do remember from my real estate exam. So Santa Cruz County has a variety of mobile home or manufactured home parks. Again, I mentioned that they can either be resident owned, co-op, or leased land, but we have an abundance actually of 55 and older parks, which means you are required to be a senior in order to purchase and live in those parks. Some of my favorites, Monteith Valley, which is in Scotts Valley. This park is actually designed more like a planned unit development because you own the land in which your unit sits on. You have your very own tax ID or parcel number. And actually it's a beautiful, beautiful park. It's a great location. It's surrounded by trees. There's a clubhouse. There's a gym. There's a ceramics studio. There is swimming pools, hot tub. It's just a really, really cool spot. We sold a unit up in Bean Creek last year and it was really fun. We did a tour of the park with one of the residents that lives there. He took us on a tour and we got to ride around in his golf cart and everybody was just so friendly. They were like neighbors coming out and everybody knew each other. It felt very supportive and community oriented. Another mobile home park that I really like for seniors is Sorrento Oaks. Sorrento Oaks is on Bromer Street in Live Oak. This is a co-op, which means that you own a portion of the land in which your property sits on. You don't have your own tax ID or APN or parcel, but you own a portion. So if there is 100 units in there, you own 1/100th of that. It is also managed and maintained by the resident. So there's not an outside source that's kind of infiltrating or making its own rules and making it impossible to get things passed or done. So clients who I have helped purchase homes in there and or sell homes because they're moving on to something else have always had really positive things to say about living in the Sorrento Oaks Park over on Bromer and Live Oak. Let's talk about De Anza. De Anza is on the west side. It is an incredibly beautiful location just past Natural Bridges off of Delaware, and those units tend to be somewhat or relatively inexpensive in comparison to other units in our county. That said, pay attention. The space rents are phenomenally high. This park is a leased park, meaning that there's an owner who owns the actual land in which each of the units resides. And every month, the person who owns the unit and lives or uses the unit pays space rent to the owner of the land. And those rents vary anywhere between $2,000 a month. I've seen up to $5,500 a month, depending on your position, proximity to the ocean, views. It is a beautiful park though. There's a trail that takes you right down to the beach. There's a swimming pool with ocean views. There's several units that have ocean views and it's just absolutely spectacular. But just know that the units are quote unquote affordable because the rent or the space rent tends to not be affordable. If you want to take a look at other opportunities or other options for senior mobile home parks in Santa Cruz County, I'm going to leave a link below and it will have the entire list of all the mobile home parks in the county and it will note the designation if it's a senior or 55 over park. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about condos and townhomes and the difference between condos and townhomes and why condos and townhomes could potentially be a budget-friendly option for you when you're downsizing. So a condo, you own the unit. You own the space inside. You own the unit only. A townhouse, you actually own the exterior as well, but generally speaking, townhouses and condos are both connected to your neighbors. So with a townhouse, you're going to have a bit more autonomy, a bit more independence. Your HOA dues might be lower than those of a condo, but you're going to have more responsibility as far as upkeep of the exterior of your home. With a condo, you own walls in, that is your unit. So usually, generally speaking, the HOA dues are a bit higher than a townhouse, and you're going to have less responsibility with regards to exterior maintenance. And a lot of times condos will have things included in the HOA dues, like your water and your garbage might be something that would be included in the HOA dues, which is again another reason why the HOA dues on condos tend to be more expensive. If you are thinking about downsizing because you are a senior, things to consider for purchasing a condo or townhouse is, one, if it is not on the ground level, is there access to it with an elevator? Think about like when you get to be older, your body might not function the same way that it did once when you were young. So is there access with an elevator? Or if you want a ground floor unit, is the entire unit single level? So we do have units in Santa Cruz that are all entirely single level, but we also do have condos that have elevators. One of my favorite buildings in Santa Cruz is Piedmont Court. That's over on Highland on the west side. It's a beautiful old Victorian style home. You walk inside, it's a senior community, so you have to be, I think it's 55 and older. Hold on, let me look. Yes, it's 55 and older, and there are elevators inside. Once you get into the unit, they're all single level. They are just very elegant and classy. It reminds me of like an old San Francisco building that's been converted into these like luxury condos for seniors. Another option for seniors is the 62 and over community, and that is Vista Prieta. It's on 17th Avenue. That building is a 2-story building, but they do have both stairs and elevator access. So if you're on the second floor, you can access your unit with an elevator. And this is a Measure J building, which means that it has been designated and designed specifically for the senior population that is low to moderate income. And those units usually sell for under $400,000. I've seen 1-bedrooms come on for even under $300,000. So that is a really affordable way that you can accomplish homeownership in a condo right here in Santa Cruz. That's in Midtown Santa Cruz or the Live Oak neighborhood of Santa Cruz. But you do have to qualify. So those do come on the market regularly. There's actually a couple on the market right now, but they are a bit more challenging to purchase just because you have to qualify based on the Measure J requirements, and then you also have to either have cash to pay, but your income and assets are verified by the county, and then you also have to be able to qualify for the loan. So there's a bit of a gray area as far as like making that affordable and still being able to qualify if you are a senior living in Santa Cruz. The other two communities that are 55 and over are both in the adult village, and they are in Watsonville. I mentioned them at the beginning, and it's Bay Village and it's Pajaro Village. Those are all single family homes that are single level units, and it's a really cute community. If you want to learn a bit more about that community, check out my video where I talk about the 5 best areas in Santa Cruz to retire. I do a deeper dive about that specific community, but I've sold in there multiple times, and all of my clients are resistant at first, and then they end up being super happy that they moved there and that they live there. Okay, another option for downsizing on a budget, and I talk about this in my video about ADUs in Santa Cruz, is the beautiful opportunity of constructing or moving into a property that already has an ADU. Now, this would be more like a multi-generational living situation. So maybe your kids want you to move to the area so badly that they are willing to or already have constructed or added an ADU or an accessory dwelling unit onto their property. Now, why this is an affordable option is if you're living with your family, obviously that is the person that you are going to be sharing the bills with. So your ability to help pay the property taxes, the mortgage, maybe the cost of the construction of the ADU, that goes back into your like family estate planning situation. So ADUs are another really great thing to explore if you're considering moving or downsizing in Santa Cruz on a budget. Now let's talk a little bit about smart downsizing. I just helped some clients sell a 3,000 square foot home on 5 acres in Bonnie Doon, and they had lived there for 30 years, and you better believe that they had stuff that they had collected. And it was beautiful stuff. Of course, they invited their family to pick up the stuff that they owned, and of course, they invited their neighbors to pick up stuff that maybe they wanted. But at the end of the day, to get rid of all your stuff is a lot of work. And I am going to tell you, yes, this is harsh, but your kids don't want your stuff. And so if you have the ability to start purging your stuff and eliminating the things that you no longer use or that you no longer want, it will help you with the moving process. I cannot tell you how many homes I walk into and I meet with the client and we do a full scope of the property and they are ready to move because they found the house that they wanted, and now they have about 1 month of very stressful time to pack, to declutter, to get rid of stuff that they no longer need and that they no longer want. So I would suggest that if you are even just remotely thinking about downsizing in Santa Cruz or anywhere else, that you start getting rid of stuff now. Pack boxes, label the boxes of the stuff that you want. Otherwise, hire somebody to hold an estate sale, donate stuff to the Goodwill, give stuff away. You can even go onto Facebook Marketplace or eBay or Craigslist and start selling stuff off, but start decluttering and minimizing the personal possessions that you own, because whoever buys your house is not going to want to buy your house with your stuff, and I am pretty certain that your children are not going to want to have to deal with that. If you are downsizing or right-sizing, remember to start getting rid of your stuff. The other thing I would suggest considering when you are downsizing or right-sizing is really learn how to maximize your space. Now, again, chances are if you're moving from a 3,000 square foot house into a house that is, say, somewhere between 800 square feet and 1,200 square feet, you probably aren't going to be able to bring everything with you, furniture included. But some things that are really important to consider are, how can I maximize this space? For example, and you can watch this video, in my house, which I do have a small house, it's about 1,200 square feet. So we have maximized our storage to capacity as much as possible. We've built in a banquette at our dining room table, which can seat up to like 10 people. So we have a great place to hang out if we have company. But in that banquette, we have built-in drawers, so you guessed it, I am able to store stuff in there. Another thing that's a good idea is multifunctional furniture. So maybe you have a sofa that can pull out into a bed for when you have company, or maybe you have an office that you have a Murphy bed in. So when it's not being utilized, you have your desk and your chair set up, but then when you have somebody come visit, you can pull the Murphy bed out. So really thinking about considering, how can I maximize this space, because I am downsizing into a smaller unit or a smaller home. So how can I maximize this space? And I think this will also help you. Since we are talking about downsizing on a budget, I think it's important to talk about the financial piece of it. And especially because generally speaking, most of my clients have to sell something before they can buy something, or we have to figure out a strategy that can help us accomplish the purchase of their new home and keeping their old home until everything is settled. So a couple of strategies that I have recently used to help my clients be able to successfully accomplish the goal of downsizing is, one, we can write a contingent offer. Now, if you're writing a contingent offer, I would suggest that you have a contingency on both ends. So you're buying a home, and on the home that you're purchasing, make sure that your agent writes in that offer that the purchase is contingent upon the successful sale of your current property. The second contingency would be that your sale on your current property is contingent on your successful purchase of your replacement property. Why do we want both contingencies? Let's say that you're in escrow on a property and you're really excited about it, and then you get an escrow on your property that you are needing to close in order to purchase your replacement property, and all of a sudden we find out that there is mold throughout the house and you're not going to be able to close escrow because there is no way that you can remediate that, and you just don't even want to deal with it. If you don't have a contingency on the property in which you are selling, you cannot cancel escrow unless the buyer does not perform. Let me repeat that. If you do not have a contingency on the property that you are selling, you cannot cancel escrow on that property unless the buyer does not perform. And if the buyer doesn't perform, there's a whole process of being able to cancel escrow, and it's providing a 48-hour notice to perform. And if they still don't perform, then the seller has the right to cancel. But if you are a seller and you do not have a contingency on the property that you are selling, you do not have the right to cancel escrow. Remember to tell your agent that both properties need to have a contingency. Okay, moving on. If you don't want to have to write an offer with a contingency, there is something called a bridge loan. A bridge loan will allow you to borrow against your current property so that you can essentially write a cash offer for the property that you are going to be purchasing or replacing. A bridge loan is a bit costly, but if you want to minimize your stress and you don't want to move multiple times and you don't want to write contingent offers, that is an option. If you want to explore bridge loans with me, feel free to reach out. My contact information is always down below. Oh, and now we're going to take a commercial break. I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. If you find the videos that we produce valuable, educational, helpful, maybe just a little entertaining, please hit that like and subscribe button. Help me reach my goal so that I can continue to help you. Now we've talked about how we can transition out of your current home and into your new property with contingent offers and with bridge loans. I want to talk about a reverse mortgage. I get this question all the time. People who are ready to retire, all of their retirement is tied up in the equity of their home, right? Okay, let's say that you own your home and you actually don't want to move. You have a single level home right here in Santa Cruz where you want to live, or wherever it is that you live, and you want to continue to live there because you can bring help in, your kids are moving onto the property, whatever your circumstances are, but you do not have enough finances to be able to live the lifestyle that you have been accustomed to or that you would like to live. There's something called a reverse mortgage. I do not suggest this for everybody, okay? So make sure that you absolutely analyze the finances and the financial structure of a reverse mortgage. But a reverse mortgage is exactly what it sounds like. A reverse mortgage is basically the bank is paying you a monthly allowance based on the equity that you have in your home, and you can continue to live the lifestyle that you want in the home that you live in. Now, this loan is due and payable if, one, you move out. So you cannot rent your house and keep a reverse mortgage. The owner has to occupy the home. Two, it is due and payable if you die. So if you have a reverse mortgage, whoever is in charge of your estate or your trust, once you pass away, they will have a certain period of time that they have to pay back this reverse mortgage. This is an option that will allow you to stay in your home. Maybe it will allow you to bring in-house help. But again, I want you to make sure you understand the gravity of a reverse mortgage and how the financial liability will impact you and your life as well as your family's once you pass away. I told you at the beginning that I was going to give you 3 tips on how you can actually save thousands of dollars while downsizing in Santa Cruz, and here they are. Are you ready? Number 1, Proposition 19. It used to be that you could only transfer your property tax basis into Santa Cruz with about 5 participating counties, or within Santa Cruz itself. Now, with Proposition 19, you can transfer your property base into Santa Cruz or anywhere else in California. That's it. There is no restriction. Well, there is a restriction, but there's no restriction on location. So if you live in Santa Cruz and you want to move to Santa Barbara and you are over 55, you can transfer your property tax base. If you live in Fresno and you want to move to Santa Cruz and you're over 55, you can transfer your property tax base. The restriction is that you have to transfer in like kind. What does that mean? Let's say that you bought your home in Fresno for $50,000. That is the property tax base that will be transferred. Now, let's say that your home in Fresno is worth $500,000 and the home that you want to transfer it to in Santa Cruz is $800,000. The $50,000 tax base will be based on the $500,000 sale, and then you will have to pay the difference between $500,000 and $800,000 when you transfer it over. Okay? Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, watch my tax video, which I'll link below, or call me and I'll go over it with you. Another way that you can actually save money on property taxes in Santa Cruz County is the homeowner's exemption. The homeowner's exemption in Santa Cruz County offers a homeowner's exemption providing a $7,000 reduction in the assessed value of a qualifying owner-occupied home. This translates to approximately $70 in annual tax savings. To claim this exemption, file a one-time application with the county assessor. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're moving to Santa Cruz and you're downsizing, or you live in Santa Cruz and you're retired and you want to save your money, every penny counts. The third way, remember I promised at the beginning, watch this whole video and you're going to see 3 ways that you can save up to thousands of dollars in savings. The third way that you can save is the parcel tax exemption. Some local parcel taxes, such as those for school funding, offer exemptions for property tax owners aged 65 or older. For instance, Santa Cruz City Schools provide such exemptions. It's advisable to check with your local taxing authorities to see if you qualify. So those are 3 ways that you can actually save thousands of dollars. Remember, Proposition 19, you are allowed to transfer your tax base anywhere in California. Number 2 is the homeowner's exemption up to $7,000 a year, $70 in tax benefits annually. And then the third is the parcel tax exemption. All 3 of these need to be discussed with your CPA and or your financial advisor and planner. And all 3 of them you need to make sure that you understand the implications of them explicitly. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you with your move right here in Santa Cruz. And if you are looking to buy or sell outside of Santa Cruz, I have an amazing referral source and I would love to connect you with an agent in your area. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Shamika Fox, your Santa Cruz real estate expert. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, and we need more. All right. Thanks for your help. Have a great day.